This week, the elephant officially takes over the living room, as Canada hosts the G8 and G20 summits, which are not only getting bigger and bigger all the time, but have so far cost this country over $1 billion. Supposedly, that's because of the security measures involved in keeping all the world leaders safe, but this price tag is not only the single biggest expense in Canadian history, but no one else has ever spent this much on the two summits. I gotta tell you, up to this point I was kind of indifferent about this whole meet and greet. Now I just wish the whole thing would curl up and die. For a party that's always gotten on a high horse about government spending supposedly being out of control, Harper's Conservatives have actually managed to make James Cameron look cheap. And the stupid part is that it's not even being done well. Let's start with the things that many of us already know about. Harper has spent $2 million on a fake lake in the building that will be the media's home base / location shot. Never mind that the G20 summit is going to be right across the street from an existing television studio, but there's a real lake providing a perfectly fine backdrop, for free, literally right next to this media center. Oh, and there's the exact security measures themselves, or at least what we're being told by the elite commandos that Harper is assigned to this task. Downtown Toronto is literally going to be locked down for the next week or two. This is the busiest and most financially vital section of the country, and it's going to be closed off to any business whatsoever just so a bunch of puppets can have a circle jerk. Furthermore, don't bother showing up to protest because in a direct violation of Canadian constitutional rights, yeah right, like Harper really cares about that, the protesters will be restricted to an area that the world leaders will be nowhere near. This is on top of the Toronto Police and the Canadian Army planning on using sonic weapons on the crowds, which might be illegal under international law. Again, just another detail that Harper isn't too worried about. That and assigning security to a company that wasn't originally licensed. Shades of Blackwater all around. By the way, a lot of spending on the summit's dime is being done in or near the writing of Federal Minister Tony Clement on projects totally unrelated to the G8, G20 meetings. Maybe it has something to do with him only winning his seat by 28 votes. But how's this for the really big kicker? Who in their right mind would try to hold a massive meeting of world leaders in the middle of one of the world's largest cities? It's no wonder keeping it secure is such a mess, it's too big of a knot to tie up. If they held these summits in a more remote and securable area, I'd be willing to bet one of my paychecks that the price tag for this giant waste of time would be a lot smaller. But hey, at least the rest of the world has seen for itself how little Harper's Conservatives really care about free speech, or the lives of Canadians. Keep in mind that our Indian reserves are little more than ghettos, and yet we're paying a huge amount of money for this giant photo op. Canadians themselves are also seeing in the best possible way how little Stephen Harper really cares about value for our money. And guess what? His poll numbers are tanking again. Maybe there's a bright side to this after all. That's it for me.